create beta, and here you create kappa, isothermal compressibility. Okay, so you can always express fractional volume in terms of beta and kappa. Right? Great. So that's called equation of state. Then there is something called critical point, which we know, which we already discussed, and you know it, that if you draw PV diagram, you remember, then there you have different isotherms. You know that after a certain temperature, you can see this PV diagram. After a certain temperature, let's say TC, it doesn't matter how much you are compressing the gas. It will be always in vapor phase or gas phase, because the kinetic energy is sufficiently high that irrespective of pressure, you can't overcome their kinetic energy, and it remains free in the gaseous form. So that temperature is critical temperature, means above this you cannot liquefy the gas. Okay, and as our experimental data suggest, this curve, it has been seen that here, if you draw this isotherm at TC, it looks like this. So here you have a saddle point, and you know that here, and it's a maxima also. So dou P by dou V at constant TC is 0, and its double derivative is also 0. So that is the in general characteristic of critical point for any real fluid, any real simple compressible fluid. Fine. I'm sure probably this, I mean, sometimes you have tried this PC TC for van der Waals gas. What is van der Waals gas? Okay, so van der Waals gas is also one equation of state, so nothing very difficult. Why? Because we know that everything doesn't behave like ideal gas. In reality, we have real gases. What does it mean by real gases or real fluids? You cannot ignore intermolecular forces. They are significant. Intermolecular forces plays a role. What else plays a role? Molar volume. Molecular volume, sorry. Of course, means available volume, you can say. Actual available volume, because some volume will be occupied by the molecules. So you can say molecular volume has a role. Because if you say total volume of container is capital V, this total V is not available for gas. You have to subtract volume occupied by, total volume occupied by molecules. So keeping these things in mind, intermolecular force or what we call excluded volume. Excluded means the volume which will be occupied. It's also called excluded volume. Why? Because you have to only exclude some part, this part, which is not available for occupying for that system, because that will be self occupied by molecules. So keeping this thing in mind, people have proposed different equations. Most of them are empirical. What is empirical? Means they have created a very enriched set of data. Very enriched data. When I say enriched data, means what? Let's say they have data for PV for different gases. For different gases. And then they have fitted some kind of equation. Okay. Hi, Saurav. Yes. No, I have a class actually till 1. Okay. And so we can do it at night, because I'm not feeling well today actually. Yeah, it's like just, you know, bit. Yeah. So whenever I'll feel, I'll take rest when I'll go home. No, today is fine. I think once I'll take rest, it will be fine. So we can do it today evening probably. I'll give you a call. Okay. Okay. Oh, thanks. Sorry guys. So they created a very enriched set of data, and then they try to fit some kind of equation. So that is called empirical, completely based on experimental data. Well, this van der Waals has some theoretical basis, you know it, that you have to add some pressure in order to make it ideal, because actual pressure is going to be less than ideal pressure, because there are intermolecular forces which are important. and the actual volume. Okay, and then once you have this pressure exclusively in terms of volume, you can calculate TC, VC, PC, and ZC also. Z is called compressibility factor. Why we define it? Because you see, if we take ideal gas, PV by RT is 1, V is the specific volume. So if PV by RT is not 1, gas is real, then it should be something else that we call Z, and that is called compressibility factor. Okay, compressibility factor. I know you have idea of these things during JEE days itself. I'm sure you have explored this. You know there is some significance of A and B. What you know is A signifies the intermolecular forces, repulsive interaction, attractive interaction. Okay. So this is one state. There are other equations of state also. You can give a Google search. You can find in any book. So there is something called Redlich-Nog equation. And then there is something called, this is called RK. And there is one more scientist. The name of that scientist, although it doesn't matter, Soev. That is called SRK. So these are different equation of state. A different relation. Nothing to worry much. That relation will be given to you. For example, SRK, P is given by RT by V minus B minus A V by V plus B. You will find, if you go to the history of these relations, first they just fitted something which should be consistent with dimension and it should fit the data well. And then later on they try to explain what can be the physical meaning of A and all this. Okay. So these all relations are empirical, relating PV and T, except one, which is virial relation. Virial relation can be obtained completely theoretically using statistical thermodynamics, which of course we are not going to see. Statistical thermodynamics. I'm sure you have seen this virial equation again during, before coming here. You have heard something about it. There is something called virial equation. And how it looks like, just to remind you. Give me a minute. Yeah, so there are two forms, in fact, for virial equation of state. In one, so if we see this virial equation, there are two forms. One is called pressure explicit form. Pressure explicit form. So this is given by PV by RT, which is nothing but Z is equal to 1 plus B by V. So C by V square, B by V cube, and so on, depending on you how much terms you want to take. And these B, C, D are called virial coefficient. And if you go to very deep physics of real gases, this B, C, D represents different kind of intermolecular interaction. That is not, of course, that is not the target of chemical engineering at all. But just to tell you that yes. So if someone asks you that is there any equation which is developed theoretically, yes, virial equation. There is also called volume explicit form that you can see. Okay. So that is all about equation of state. Few more things. Okay. So as I told you, if Z is less than 1, then P is going to less than P ideal. Okay. And if Z is greater than 1, then you have to see in terms of VV is greater than P ideal. Okay. Basically, this is nothing but a measure of extent of deviation from ideal gas behavior. That's fine. Now, what is interesting people have observed. You remember that we have just seen this critical pressure, temperature, and of course, once we know P and T, you know V also at critical point. Now you can imagine that that these critical points, it varies for different gases, no doubt. But critical point ultimately it's related to liquefying of gas. Okay, and when you are liquefying a gas, what is going to play a role is that what kind of intermolecular forces are there. So you can say that intermolecular forces, this what we know as PC, PCVC, they manifest this depending on what kind of how if attractive forces are very dominant, you will find that at very low pressure you can liquefy the gas. So PC is going to be low, and hence TC and so on. So ultimately, remember that PC or critical point in general is characteristic or manifestation of intermolecular forces. Okay, and this gives us a hint, or this given hint to the scientists who were working, I think a long time, 100 years ago, or I don't know when this equation came, which we are going to discuss, but quite long time ago. They thought that if we can express any equation of state, well, it started from van der Waal, so let's talk about van der Waal. That if van der Waal equation can be converted into reduced pressure, temperature, and specific volume, we should get a master curve. If you draw PV and T for different gases, PV, you will get different curves. But if you normalize pressure with corresponding critical pressure, temperature, and volume for a given gas, okay. So let's say if you have gas A1, you have PC1, TC1, VC1, and if you have gas A2, you have PC2, TC2, VC2. So if you normalize their separate curves, PV curve, let's say for a given temperature, by their corresponding critical pressure, volume, and temperature, and if both gas will follow van der Waal equation, they will eventually fall down on a single curve, because you are normalizing x and y axis. So basically, this is called reduced equation of state. Why? It's very simple. You try. You know, you see, we have discussed here. You know, PC, VC, TC, that you can calculate. If A and B are known for a gases, for that gas, that will be given to you. And in fact, forget about van der Waal, that you can always get from experimental data. What is PC, TC, and VC for a given gas by doing the experiments. We have seen how we create. We do it, draw isotherm at different temperature, and at certain temperature, it goes beyond that liquid vapor phase line. Okay. So once you know that, you normalize this. So you express this P in terms of PR. Okay. So basically, P reduced variable is, these are for reduced, P is P by PC. So P is going to be PR into PC. You know the value of PC. So put all those values, P as PR into PC, A as VR square, VC square, and so on. If you do that, you will simply get this. Okay. And that's why it's called reduced equation of state. Rather than multiple curves, all curves for different gases can fall on one curve, provided they follow this or any other law. Okay. So maybe for few one set of gases, this can predict the data very well. Okay. And then you can express this in terms of Z also. Not a big deal, because Z is nothing but PV by RT. You can express in terms of reduced variable. Okay. This is nothing but PR, PC, VR, VC, R, TR, TC. Okay. You know value of PC, VC, and TC. So you can express Z in terms of PR, VR, and TR. Okay. Great. Although people were not knowing this, or without knowing any relation, people try to figure out what happens if we do that, and that you will see here. This is called reduced equation of state. It's very simple. There is nothing very difficult about this, because you are introducing new variables. You can say it's a normalized pressure, normalized temperature, normalized specific volume. We are normalizing it by corresponding values at critical point, because critical point ultimately manifests the intermolecular interaction. So if somehow you can normalize the properties with the extent of molecular interaction, then it should give you a master curve. This concept of master curve or single curve you will learn more when you will go to another courses in future. Okay. Okay. So people have tried it. You know, here you see that let me, if I can zoom it for you. This is called generalized compressibility chart. Z as a function of TR and PR. Okay, which is very easy. How you will create such? How someone has created such curve? This. Let's say you fix your T. Okay, so you take some T. Let's say I've taken T1. Okay, and then you start varying pressure and measure Z, because you can fix only two variables. You are fixing T1 and then you will vary pressure. You will get some curve of Z like this, something like this. Then what you are supposed to do, convert everything in terms of reduced variable. So this is curve at T1. You can say this is curve at T1 by Tc. So my new curve is at some TR. And you have to know this also, T by Pc, which is PR. So basically what we are plotting Z as a function of PR for various TR. Now remember that although the Tc for, let's say, methane, critical variables or variables at critical point for methane and ethane can be different. Their Tc and Pc can be different. But when you will normalize, if their reduced variable is same, TR and PR. Okay, when you calculate, you say take some temperature for ethane and some other temperature for let's say propane, and that at some pressure, whatever is the value of TR and PR, and another pressure, whatever the value of TR and PR for another gas, if this TR and PR matches, then Z is going to be same for both gases. And then people have tried to verify it, and you can see that this experiment has been done on so many carbons, these gases, methane, ethylene, ethane, propane, and you see it very well. You get different curves for different TR. For example, for TR equal to 1, all the data of, so let's say how many gases? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 gases. See, if you will do for the, let's say if you fix your T1 something, and if you draw Z versus P for 10 gases, you will have 10 curves, data points, 10 data points, something like this. Okay, I'm again repeating that. Let's say you have 10 gases. You done this experiment at a given temperature T1 in order to measure Z as a function of P. So basically you vary P, you measure volume, and Z is equal to PV by RT. For a given temperature, then we vary the pressure. For 10 gases, we will get 10 curves. And then what people tried, that if you reduce this P by the PR for different gases, so this will be reduced by some variable PR, which will be nothing but, P by PC. So this curve will be, its x-axis will be normalized by PC of, let's say, methane. This curve will be normalized by PC of ethane, and so on. If we do that, we will get a single curve corresponding to T1 equal to something. Okay, but again, this is not easy. If you're fixing T1, you are not ensuring TR is also fixed. TC is going to be also different. So drawing this, fixing T1 is not, it will not work. So basically you have to take all the data in tabular form, and you have to do all this TR, PR and Z, and then you have to sort the data for different TR. Remember, practically you can fix different temperature. Let's say if I fix T1 and if I do the experiment for 10 gases, methane, ethylene, ethane, TC is different for them. So even if you are fixing T1, you are not ensuring that TR at 1, let's say TR at given temperature T1 for methane is not going to equal to TR for propane, because their TC is different. So basically what you have to do, and let me explain you how people have created this. What experiment you will do? Let's say you take some pressure T1. Okay, you have, let's say, 4 gases. Here, so you are fixing. So let's say we are fixing T1. So T1 is going to be same throughout this column, same data. Okay, then you will vary the pressure. Okay, and this is for column for methane, and then you have column for ethane. So these two columns are dedicated to methane PV, then ethane PV, and you will note down those points. If you vary the pressure, how we vary for various gases. So ultimately you will have what data? T1 and then Z as a function of P for one gas. Then again Z as a function of P for another gas for given temperature T1. Similarly, you do for T2. And then reduce all these variables and then put everything in one data set and then sort this data as TI. I don't know whether you have how much Excel you have used, but if you, I mean, maybe I can show you with some recorded lecture how we do it. So that's how people have created this chart and why it's going to be important for us in exam. Let's say if I ask you Z for a given gas, what we need to do? You have to know the first the PC and TC for that given gas and VC. Since I am telling you the temperature and pressure, you have to use and normalize it by PC and TC. Once you get the reduced variable PR and TR, PR and TR. So let's say PR is coming 4 and TR is let's say 1.2. So we'll go to PR, this curve, we'll come to know your Z. Once you know your Z, other calculations you can perform. That's all. So that is the use of generalized compressibility chart. This chart may not be valid for all gases. What has been seen that this chart is according to this. So for all these hydrocarbons, people have checked this generalized compressibility chart, and this works very fine. This is also in agreement with this. Sorry, this is also in agreement with this curve generated by this equation, this van der Waal equation. Okay. So if you, since this is an equation, you can calculate, you can express Z in terms of PR and TR, and you can generate Z PR for a given TR, and it very well matches with the experimental curve, which we have already seen in the next slide. So remember this compressibility chart which you see, the solid lines, the data points are in various symbols, and the solid lines is the predictions of reduced equation of state obtained from van der Waal. Okay, that's all. Then a very small thing, since people have seen that it works fine for let's say these hydrocarbon gases, this generalized compressibility chart where you can calculate Z as a function of PR. And why we need this Z as a function of PR? Because gases are real. So PV is equal to not RT. So we need to know how much gas is deviating from the ideal gas so that you can calculate other properties. So that's why you need to know Z. And you will see this in this probably for whole next week, you will be needing this Z every time. And how you come to know Z? Using PR and TR. And how you come to know PR and TR? You knowing TC and PC. Okay. So what people have seen that there is some deviation if you take a polar gas. These are generally not very polar, but people have seen that if you take a polar gas, this generalized compressibility chart is unable to predict the data, or you can say this solid curve is unable to predict the data. So what people have suggested, so there was one guy, his name was Pitje. I don't know whether it's German or French. If it's French, it will be Pitje, and German is fine. You can call it Pitje. I don't know, or British. So what he said that apart from Z, there is some factor called Z1 also. This Z1 takes, so basically Z will be Z0 TRPR plus Z1 TRPR. Okay. Let me see, there is something else or something is missing also. Sorry, omega into Z1 TRPR. Omega. And this omega is nothing but minus log 10 PR at TR equal to 0.7 saturated. means at saturation line. Okay. And then what is Z naught? You can ask, okay, find Z1. We haven't seen Z naught. Z naught is nothing but then this we treat as Z naught in that case. So basically what is happening, that what you have seen is that simply Z naught was not working to predict the data. So you have to add some correction factor. So rather than Z, we can say Z naught. Okay. And then which is work for simple fluids which are considering, not considering the effect of polarity. So in order to include that, what you have, one chart is also available. I'll send you some problems, recorded problems. You can go through it. And for that you need omega. Omega is minus log 10 PR sat. When I do the problem, it will be very easy. See, ultimately what we are saying, that we need to know Z as a function of PR and TR. Okay. Bottom line is this. Now Z, PR, TR can work. This chart may be enough, but sometimes maybe not when you have polar gases. And then hence Z becomes whatever you are doing from here, let's say Z naught, and then some correction factor. That is called eccentric factor. So I'll send you 2 recorded problems on this. Very simple, don't worry. Okay. But you have to do iteration. I'll tell you what does iteration means. Because you have only one equation and 2 unknowns. In that case, there is no other way rather than iterating it. You'll come to know what I'm saying through those problems. So that's all. And this leads to a very famous law, which you will listen many times now. Law of corresponding states. And can anyone tell me what it should be, what it is all about? Law of corresponding states. Can you guess? If TR and PR are same, irrespective of gas, their compressibility factor is going to same. Why so? Because we are normalizing the property by critical values of these variables, and critical value eventually, critical value are the manifestation of intermolecular forces. So that's why their Z is going to be same. Z is ultimately compressibility factor, molecular interaction. So if your TR and PR is same, then your Z is also going to same. That is called law of corresponding states. Not a big deal. Okay, so nothing to worry about. Is it any experiment? I mean, just rather than writing Z as a function of TR and PR, a fancy way to say is law of corresponding states. Means if TR and PR is same, irrespective of gas, temperature, pressure, whatever, real pressure, temperature, if the reduced variable PR and TR is same, Z is going to be same. But we have seen there is deviation, so people added some factor and so on. Okay, so these things keep on developing. Today also, if you go to hardcore thermodynamics research, people are doing exploring this. Okay, that's all. I'll send you 2 problems which will make it more clear. Today itself, I'll try. I'm not well today, but I'll try, because you have a test on Friday. It's a small test, nothing to worry. Just revise this thermodynamic relations and this slide, this thing which we are reading today. Okay. Now quickly we will do 2 problems. If someone has some involvement, he can leave at 1, no problem. Anyway, it's going to be recorded, so it will be there. But at least stay for next 15 minutes. I'm again stopping the recording, so that again we can record separately the problems on availability. Okay. So this slide I will share with you. Okay, so let's stop the recording and I again allow. Okay.